Hey there. So I'm continuing my countdown to this year's Batman Day. For the last few years, DC and Marvel and now Archie have been producing facsimile editions of some of their older comics. And what those are, like this here, is a reprint of some of their old classic comics, but they have the old ads and maybe letters pages and everything in them. And so it's like the complete book as it came out originally, because a lot of times, when stuff's reprinted now, you don't have all that extra material in there, especially for like Batman stuff. Like this issue of Detective, usually when you see it now, it's just the Batman story. This here has everything that was in the book originally, how it was printed. And so they're fun kind of ways to own some of these old stories, and it's like, nobody I know can afford a Detective 27 anymore. You know what I mean? They've gotten pretty pricey. So it's kind of a fun, affordable way to have some of these old comic books. And, they've been making a lot of them over the years now. And, just about every month there's a few more that are released. But having said that, I feel like there's some gaps in there that they could still do. And I think there's some Batman ones they could do. And so I'm going to take a look at my pick for 5 Batman facsimile editions that could be made. And so starting off, I've got Detective Comics number 474. So this is the reintroduction of Deadshot back in the 70s. He had appeared, decades earlier, but they've hadn't really done anything with him again now till 1977. And he was pretty much a completely different character originally. So this is a pretty big reboot for the character. Deadshot, is a pretty prevalent DC villain these days. He's been in movies and things and animated series, and it seems weird that they haven't reprinted this, especially because it's from the Marshall Rogers, Steve Englehart run of Batman, on Detective Comics that everybody really likes. So it's like, I feel like this is one, that could really benefit from a facsimile edition. Here we got some of the old classic ads in here even, that you could throw in there. The old letters page and things like that. So I feel like this is a really good issue, and, I'm kind of surprised they haven't done this one yet. They did the Laughing Fish from this run too with the Joker. I feel like this is an obvious one that, maybe they're waiting till Deadshot shows up in another movie or a TV show or something like that. But I'm kind of surprised this is one we haven't gotten yet. Next up is a personal favorite of mine. This is Detective Comics number 651. This is the start of the run by Chuck Dixon, Graham Nolan, and Scott Hanna with Kelly Jones on covers, which is one of my favorite runs on Detective. This might be like my single favorite issue. This is a story called A Bullet for Bullock, and this was adapted into an episode of Batman the Animated Series. I just think this is a great single issue. It's, if you pay attention to my ad at the end of these videos, Detective651 is the handle I use on social media, and it is because of this issue. Now, this one isn't, it's probably the newest one on this list I've got, but I just think, this is a great story. I feel like it's overlooked. It's been reprinted in, kind of bigger collections, with a lot more stuff in them, and I feel like it kind of gets overshadowed. I don't think this story gets enough credit. I think this is a really good, solid detective story, and I feel like, it's not part of a multi-part story or anything like that, so I feel like you could really benefit from having a single-issue facsimile reprint of this. Next up is World's Finest, number 153. So this was the Batman-Superman team-up book that ran for decades. This is a fun Silver Age imaginary story, and so this is sort of an old story of Batman fighting Superman. It is the Clash of Cape and Cowl. So in this story, Batman is convinced that Superman killed Bruce Wayne's parents, and he vows revenge on him. And the big thing with this issue, as you can see here, is this is the original panel of Batman slapping Robin that the meme that on the internet comes from. So I feel like just for that is enough reason to reprint this issue. You know, people use that meme all the time online, but this is where it comes from. I feel like just that notoriety should be able to get this made. But yeah, so far we haven't. And again, I feel like this is another obvious one that would probably get him some attention online. You know, where you could actually have that issue. I don't believe this has been reprinted. I know DC was doing the World's Finest Omnibus series. I don't know if this was in either one of those volumes or if they're even continuing that series now. But again, I think this is another one that should be reprinted as a facsimile edition. Next up is a story which obviously has been reprinted here. But this is Batman 244. This is a story by Denny O'Neil and Neil Adams from their run on Batman. This is an early Ra's al Ghul story, and this is one, it features a pretty iconic fight with Batman and Ra's al Ghul in the desert. I'm kind of surprised this hasn't gotten a reprint. They've done facsimile editions of the first appearance of Ra's al Ghul and Talia al Ghul and some other key issues, and I feel like this is one that definitely needs it. And, you know, this is a really nice reprint here in this book, but they've obviously gone back and redid the coloring. So it would be nice to kind of see this book again in its original colored state, and, you know, with all the ads and extra stuff that would have been in there, because, you know, here in this reprint we just get the story. And again, that's fine. That's really all you want in a book like this, but it would be nice to have another one of those facsimile editions to go along with the other Ra's al Ghul-centric issues they've done. And lastly, going back to the beginning here with Batman, so this is the first volume of the Batman Golden Age Omnibus. And so my pick from this is Detective Comics number 31 and 32. This is where Batman fights the Mad Monk. And really, this one should just get a facsimile just based on this cover, if nothing else. This cover's been homaged and referenced by several other artists, several different comics over the years. But this is Batman. This is an early Batman adventure where he's fighting the vampire known as the Mad Monk. We've got the Bat Gyro in here. It's sort of like the first time Batman fights anything supernatural. And again, this is an old story from, you know, the early days of Batman. This is a book. These are two books that are basically, you know, out of the budget of every modern collector, you know, for the most part. So it would be nice to have a nice reprint of this just to kind of have in the collection. But yeah, that's my picks for Batman facsimile editions. You know, there's so many more you could do, I'm sure. Do you have one you think they should make? Are there some facsimile editions you really like? Let me know in the comments below, and I'll talk to you later, and thanks for watching. If you'd like to follow me on social media, I'm on Twitter/X at Detective651, also on Instagram at Detective651. Be sure to check out my t-shirt store at tpublic.com/user/Detective651. I've got a lot of nerdy designs on there, and there's sales all the time, so check it out frequently.